How much do you need for retirement, financially speaking? Today I'm gonna dive in. I'm gonna show you the simplest math. I'm gonna share with you what the experts are saying and what they should be saying that they're not, so we can get things corrected and help you create a more realistic financial wealth plan.
'Cause we're gonna be legends. What we're doing here ain't just scary. It's about to be legendary.
I remember being in college and I got my job, my wife got a job, and she started contributing to a 401k. It was the only time we ever had a 401k. And the company was doing this match and the money was kind of getting put in there, and she worked at this company for a couple of years and then she stopped. And then I remember we were kind of looking at all of our assets and we found out that we had this little 401k, and in it we had like $1,500. And I remember thinking to myself, my wife worked at her job for 2 years and accumulated $1,500 in a 401k? How is this mindset ever supposed to become anything? And today, as we have this conversation about how much do you need for retirement, I'm gonna warn you right now, there is a gap between society's plan and what's needed to actually get where you wanna go. I'm gonna break it down, I'm gonna show you the hard math, and I'm gonna start by telling you what society is recommending, and I'm gonna share with you whether I agree with it or not. This is what we're currently told. Suggested retirement savings by age. The above saving amounts may seem impressive, but consider the rule of thumb given by some financial experts on, this is actually the really funny part. Check this out. This is what they're referencing. They said, how much do people have for retirement? They said in their 20s they have $16,000. In their 40s they have $63,000. In their 60s they have $172,000. And this is a course by a popular company that is pushing CDs and IRAs and 401ks and all the boring crap that frankly can't get us where we need to go. But then they said this, they said, but as impressive as, I'm like, impressive? We gotta freaking die. As impressive as hell, consider the rule of thumb given by some financial experts that what you need to have by 67. They said, by your 60s, you should have 8 to 10 times your annual salary. And that's what I really want to put on trial today. No one's going to retire in their 30s. They say in your 30s you should have earned 1 to 2 times your annual salary. So by the way, if you're 35 and you make $45,000 a year, they're saying hopefully you have put 2 times that, $90,000 into savings. Or if you're in your 50s, hopefully you have 6 to 7 times your annual salary. But Americans in their 60s, 8 to 10 times their annual. Well, let's look at reality. I've had an opportunity to frankly interview thousands of Americans, and I want to share with you some of the things that I've personally found. If by your 60s you have 8 to 10 times your income, then let's see how much that actually is. First of all, there's a lot of families today that actually have dual incomes. And so the average American makes $44,000 a year. If they have a spouse that is earning that average or maybe a little less, let's just say that they're living off of $80,000 a year of a combined income. You've been working your whole life, you've been getting raises, you've been moving up, your most valuable experience level in life, and now you finally have $80,000. Well, what is 10 times $80,000? It's $800,000. Now, why would this company and website tell you that that should be your goal? Well, I'm going to tell you right now that this company is going to take that $800,000, they're going to park it into an annuity. If you just want to live off of the interest, you're going to park that in an annuity, maybe earning 4%. And you know what 4% on $800,000 is? Well, we can do the math really easy. It's $800,000 times 0.04%, and that will give you the figure of $32,000 a year. $32,000 a year. You divide that out by 12 months, and it is basically $3,000. You can basically have $3,000 a month. Maybe you have some Social Security that comes in on top of that. If you take a look at that, you're not going to be anywhere living off of $80,000 a year. Maybe at best you're going to be living at $50,000 or $55,000 a year. But now you've got the next 20 or 30 years because medicine is making us healthier, live longer. And so I look at that and I'm like, is that the way you want your retirement to be if you're not working anymore? Now, for some people, they don't have a choice. It's just the way it is. This math for me, this was distressing in my 20s. Now, a lot of you watching here on YouTube, I know that on average, you're probably in your late 20s or your early 30s. Some of you are teenagers, so you're getting an early start. This is the time to get your hands on this information and then act boldly on it. It's not too late if you're in your 40s or 50s, but you have to get far more aggressive. So here's what needs to be considered. There's 2 habits that we need to have out the gate to be properly prepared for retirement. And it's not just this accumulation methodology. Number 1, we need to make sure that we're being rock stars at saving money while not putting yourself into a space of scarcity. There's so many people that live a very limited life. They don't travel, they don't take trips, they don't buy things, they don't do things that they want. And it's because they're in the scarcity mindset, because they're focusing all the time on saving, saving, saving. I've got friends that have millions of dollars and really don't spend it and they don't enjoy it. And so I've learned that no matter how big the pile of money is, it doesn't really create the spirit of abundance and freedom to live until you can translate it into a passive income. So savings is part one, but the other part of the equation that we want to add to that part B here is learning how to invest. This is the most important thing here. Now, when I say invest, I am not talking about hiring a financial planner that is going to teach you how to not diversify and just say, let's put it in the stock market this way, and then we're going to put it in the mutual fund, which is the stock market that way, and then let's annuitize it, that's the stock market this way. The S&P, guys, it's all the same boring crap. Stock market goes down, you lose all your value. And every 8 to 10 years, there's a correction in the stock market on average. So the reality is, when I say learn how to invest, I don't mean find a stockbroker. Don't find a financial planner, a brokerage account. What I'm actually talking about is, how do you control your own destiny? Here's 2 things that I would encourage you to try on. And I've never said this before on video, so I'm super excited to share this with you today. Your goal is to figure out how to save a minimum of 20% of your income, and your goal is to figure out how to get a 20% ROI. If you're saving 20% of your income and then you're earning 20%, we can actually do the math on what ends up happening. Let's talk about our friend here that is making $80,000 a year. And so we say, great, let's do the math. Let's see if Kris's math adds up here, because it certainly doesn't with what I've been showing you from these guys. 80,000 times 0.2 is $16,000 a year. Now, if I take $16,000 and I have this money that I am saving every year, but I also have it growing at 20%. That means that I'm producing $3,200 a year. Now, I can't retire on $3,200. We're going to remove all of the compounding. Let's just say that I was saving $16,000 for 10 years in a row. $16,000 for 10 years is $160,000. And then I've got $3,200 times 10, so that's $32,000 a year. Interesting. In 10 years, I got the same thing that a lifetime of getting to $800,000 would produce. Do you see what I'm talking about here? I can do in a quarter of the time what I can't in a lifetime if I am producing a better ROI. So one of the big obvious questions is, well, Kris, that sounds good, but I go to my financial planners and I say I want a 20% ROI, and you know what they tell me? Way too much risk, you're going to lose your money. And you know what? They're right. If you try to earn 20% in the stock market, the risk is through the nose and you're not going to survive it. You're going to have wins, and it's horrible if you do, because then you think you can produce it again. And then when you lose everything because you can't, then you're in trouble. You're going to have to, my friends, get out of the stock market and the traditional financial mindset of IRA and 401k thinking. I have, for example, a document that I produced detailing my strategy of how on my last 4,000 homes, I have averaged a 25% annual ROI. And by the way, if we redo these numbers at 25%, it gets nuts. It gets really, really exciting. It's frankly crazy. This document, by the way, is an alternative to actually showing how you can access investments that are out there in the world today, just like I'm doing, nearly $1 billion worth, frankly, so a relatively small amount, but have earned these 25% annual ROIs. Frankly, starting at 22, that's how I became financially free with 6-figure residual income by 26. And now I turned 40 years old, and since then have helped thousands of people do what I'm finally telling the story I've been sharing here on YouTube. So I make these videos every day on this channel. If you're not a subscriber, click that and fix that right now. I make these videos for a couple of reasons. One is, this is a part of my legacy play. I've got my kids, I got my life that I'm creating, and one of the things that brings me really fantastic joy is, how many people can I influence and help on this planet to be better financially, make better financial intelligence decisions, and to basically get ahead? My mantra in life has been, be ahead. And most people, when it comes to this game, are so far behind because they're not doing proper planning. The best thing I said in this video, in my opinion, that I hope gets locked down up here is, how do I get to the point where I'm saving 20%, and how do I get to the point where I can access 20% annual ROI? If you want to know how to do that, there are simple ways of passively doing that in real estate, meaning a team out there managing the building and growing of a portfolio. And if you're doing a good job saving your money, or if you put in 401ks and IRAs, It's time to pull it out and put it in real estate so you're not earning 3, 5, and 7% pathetic ROIs, but you're diversifying and getting yourself in a game with ROIs that have the ability to get you where you actually want to go. So I've documented all of that here in this free book that you can have. And it's impressive when you go through it and see the track record on nearly $1 billion worth of real estate. Click the link below. I've never offered this before, so I'm excited. I'm actually giving it away for free. All you have to do is cover the shipping, and then we'll go ahead and send it out to you. And that, my friends, is an opportunity for you to at least get yourself educated on alternatives, because they exist, they're out there, and not a lot of people are doing the things that they need to be. Now, a couple of things that'll help you is I also have in the link below not just this, but I also have a link for a free calculator that I created that will predict, with your current plan, when you'll be retired. It'll ask all your financial questions that you have the answers to, and it'll calculate you're going to retire by this date. Some of you are going to be like, Kris, it told me I'm going to retire in 182 years, but I'm trying to retire in 10 years. Some of you will say, actually I'm on track. It's designed to help you do the math, because when you do the math, you can plan for a much more financially successful life. This whole conversation on money is motivated by one thing predominantly, which is the most important asset that any of us have, which is time. And time needs to reside with a plan. Notice that this plan, I showed you how to do in 10 years what you couldn't hardly do in 40 years. But one of the things that it required in this scenario was 10 years. And so a good plan will take time, which means that wherever you're at in your life, whether you're young and you're like, oh, retirement is so far away. Some of you are in your 20s and 30s. And you're like, oh, Kris, retirement is so far away. I don't have to worry about that right now. And I'm like, you know what? If you want to panic in your 50s and 60s and play catch up, you can. But the benefit for me of having done it in my 20s is I've visited 40 countries around the world. I've been able to world travel, go to concerts. This year I'm taking my kids to the Olympics, and I saw my team win in the Super Bowl. I've had extraordinary opportunities. Bora Bora, hands down, the best beach on the entire planet. Oh my gosh, so freaking romantic and sexy. Those bungalows out there on the water. I've had extraordinary opportunities to create memories instead of being at a job working, whereas 87% of people really don't like what they're doing. So I don't share that to brag, but I'm saying my life feels so blessed because I acted early and I said I want to be early. And if you're feeling like it's time for you to figure out how to get early, that's why I have a calculator for free below in the notes. And I also can give you that free book to say there are alternative things that you can do to get yourself financially where you want to be. Thank you so much for watching today's video. My invitation, if you're not a subscriber, is to make that happen right now and ring the bell. I'll notify you every day when the next video comes out. We'll help you on your journey of creating wealth.